The Everything Sequel podcast is brought to you by us. Not Us the movie, us, Mike and Tom of the Everything Sequel podcast.
Everything Sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is a Pink Panther edition. For some reason, we're pitching sequels and trying to keep this going. My name is Michael Chance of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, Pitchmaster himself, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hello, Tom.
You have the right to remain silent, but let me tell you this, I am not your ordinary run-of-the-mill transvestite.
You were leaning forward in a way in which your eyes were above camera.
Yeah.
And so I was only seeing your mouth, and you kind of looked like Clouseau in Trail. You know, like trying to not show your face.
Yeah. I like the idea of an ordinary run-of-the-mill transvestite.
Yes, yeah.
That feels like a Blake Edwards pull.
Oh, definitely, you know? Yeah.
Like the ordinary run-of-the-mill transvestites, like those transvestites in the rest of my movies.
It's a running theme.
That decades later I will be vilified for. Like Richie Curtis and fat jokes.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
Braving
reasonable task ahead of us.
Braving the high seas.
You're referencing in your intro at all.
Braving the high seas of trying to pitch to all of this fucking nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably the first time we're faced with a pitching sequels for a series that we're both actively campaigning to have ended 3 movies before the movie we're gonna make.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Arguably, there shouldn't have even been a back half of this series. If it had ended with Strikes Again, it would have been pretty much perfect. Well, aside from Inspector Clouseau, but you know, you can always.
That's a blip. It's just a blip.
Yeah. Any ointment can have a fly in it, but when you have Trail and Curse, that's a swarm. That's a plague.
When you have Trail and Curse, which is sort of a couplet, and then you add the addendum, which is Sun.
Yeah.
And then think about trying to continue that, because we've already pitched for the first half of the series.
We have.
So you have to you have to look for the quote unquote legacy of the back half of the series.
Yeah.
No easy
task. What is the legacy? No, or what is the legacy of this series? Even that's not clear.
Yeah.
Is this a series about diamonds, about detectives, about panthers, actual panthers?
Or is it a series about Dr. August Balls?
Yeah, well, this back half arguably is very balls focused. Balls deep.
Yeah.
You might say.
I might say that.
You might say that. I wouldn't, but you might.
I'm a dirtbag.
Still recording on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Yeah. What did you do on Valentine's Day? I said the word balls deep repeatedly to a man on the other end of a Zoom.
Who famously likes tits.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose arguably the only 2 movies you get your tits fix in are the worst 2 movies in the series.
That's true.
So it must have been mixed feelings for you, because you got the Joanna Lumley's mud boobs and then the boob.
Well, when you're watching something terrible and you're like, "Hey, tits!"
Yeah.
You get a blip of happiness.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
All right.
That's why there's so many Carry On films that were made, because the humor tired out in like 2 movies, and they did about 10 more, but 10 more for the tits.
There you go.
I wonder if we'll ever cover any Carry On movie. I mean, it is a film series. I wouldn't necessarily call them sequels to each other, because they're not continuous. I don't know. I just want you to see them, because I grew up with them. They're part of my consciousness.
I don't know these.
But I feel like if you'd understand a lot more about me if you saw the you saw even a frame of one of those movies, you'd understand where I was coming from more of the time, I think. Knowing that this is the culture that I grew up with. When you grow up with Carry On films as your kind of like television mainstay of movies that are on all the time, Bond films seem like fucking Lawrence of Arabia.
Well, I guess let me ask you up front. Was this a daunting task for you, or did it come easily?
Both at different times, actually.
Okay.
There was definitely there was an initial bout of pitcher's block. Not in the baseball sense. Is there such a thing as pitcher's block in baseball?
I don't know. But I don't think so. But Kevin Costner Kevin Costner definitely couldn't clear the mechanism in one portion of For the Love of the Game. That's
I
not too ridiculous a reference for you.
No, that's good. What was great about that was I gave you the perfect setup, but it was almost too perfect because that put too much burden on the person having to pick up the punchline. So it was like, that's like a setup where you could go, is there such a thing as pitcher's block? And then it's up to you to insert joke about particular baseball pitcher who had a dry spell here. But that there's too many options for you there. It's like, whereas I come out glowing just for the setup. That it's harder for the person who has to do the punchline.
I could have talked about Eric Shaw and giving up Pete Rose's record-breaking hit, and then just sitting on the mound while all of the Reds celebrate. Just
there you go. See,
sitting down. He was blocking them from celebrating.
I was setting you up so that, hopefully ESPN would pick us up as a podcast. All we do is sports sequels.
Yeah.
They've got to have room for that in their like podcasting empire for a show about sports sequels.
Mm-hmm.
What is 30 for 30 but endless digressions about sports?
Oh, yeah.
Wonderfully so, but, I mean...
Great.
You would not make documentaries about these subjects if you didn't have ESPN money behind it. I mean, it's so niche. That's what documentaries should be. They should just be, here's what I want to do the documentary about. I'm just going to go out and do it. And then 30 for 30 is just like, oh, here's an excuse to do that. But I feel like there's room for a sports sequel podcast somewhere in your empire, ESPN.
ESPN didn't want 30 for 30 at first.
Oh, okay.
I'm forgetting the guy's name that came up with it. Fuck, I'll never remember it. But he came up with the idea.
John Forsyth.
It was
call back to our last episode.
Trying to sell it to ESPN, and they're like, "No, we don't want this." And he's like, "No, you do want this, fucking idiots." And they did one, and it was like such gangbusters that they were like, "Oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we'll buy that from you." It's like, yeah, of course you will.
Wasn't the OJ movie a 30 for 30?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really count though because it was it was like 5 movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was
feature-length documentaries.
It was 5
is that
different
5
things going on that same day or something.
Did it count as 5 of the 30, or did they round up or down? How did they do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I had an initial bout of pitcher's block, And that was a Billy Connolly like digression there. I was like went off into a total tangent and then brought it back.
There you go.
But once I settled into an idea, I ran with it, and it all started to click. Like every element of it started to click, which doesn't happen often with my sequel pitches, as well you know.
I was gonna say you're boasting a little bit there. Let us be the judge of that, Mister.
Because I didn't know when we were going to be recording this, so I had mapped this out in my head at the weekend, and I haven't even gone back to it since. I mean, it might all be garbage, but that's how confident I am. Is that it's sort of like, oh no, I was like, no, it works. Yeah, I've got it. I've got a flow chart of this movie in my head, and it works. So,
I think I've got a kind of a flow chart for this movie in my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the same way.
It's so funny, like, I want two things. Well, one, like, we said this before, when pitching comedy sequels, you weirdly focus more on the story than the jokes, which doesn't seem logical. But it's very much like, and then something funny will happen out of it.
Yeah, right,
like,
right. Something good will happen.
And I wonder if I'd like to talk to an actual comedy writer and see if this is like this is like the magician's secret of the trade. It's like, yeah, we don't actually write jokes until we have to. We just make up the story,
put the framework in.
Yeah, that seems to be the way to go about it. Like, you literally, because I mean, I'm trying to think what the movie was. I think it was 2001: A Space Odyssey, where the script would just be like, it would just have like 10 minutes of the Stargate, and then there would like that. The script was like tiny, and I feel like comedy scripts could be the same. It's like, we'll find something funny to do here,
yes,
and then
insert
here's the next
bit.
stage of yeah. But I think of all my favorite comedy movies, and I can totally imagine them being written on that level. And when they got on set, or once they had the backbone of a plot, they were like, oh, this is what's funny about this, and then that feels like someone else's job to figure out what's funny about the thing you've written, not actually you as the writer.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if written on the page is Rodney Dangerfield picking up a hat and saying, well, you buy a hat like this, you get a free bowl of soup.
Oh, I guarantee nothing that Rodney Dangerfield says in Caddyshack is in that screenplay.
Can't be.
It's I guarantee that it's just every time he's involved in a scene,
it just says Rodney.
It just says Rodney, and then there's a big gap, and then next person speaks. It's just Rodney in massive type, so it's like the R is like a page long, so it takes up the requisite space of the script. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And, it's fair to say, because I think the turning point was remembering that we had a time machine.
Mm-hmm.
And remembering that, the constraints under which the series had to make these movies do not exist for us.
Right.
So essentially, my time machine became an anti-death machine.
Okay. That was my next question. Was
I wasn't using it to explore famous moments of history. I was using it to bring people back from the dead.
Yeah. So then I presume that your movie would include Peter Sellers.
Well, yes and no. Like, I'm weirdly, and this is why I'm really confident about it.
Because that's the huge temptation, isn't it, to have him back?
Yeah. It's just like, to just have him, and I both resisted and succumbed to that temptation simultaneously, because I'm actually using Peter Sellers' Clouseau in a way that is more consistent with how Trail and Curse use him than the way Revenge uses him. But knowing that I'm going to get original content from Peter Sellers in doing so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think that's the difference. The difference is, I know, first of all, I know Peter Sellers will agree that if my movie is greenlit, then Peter Sellers will sign a contract that says he consents to say these lines and perform this role, which is a guarantee you do not get with Trail and Curse. That
No,
any
of
of this
course
has
not.
been consented to by Sita Sellers. That he knows what's going on in this. Like he's gonna know what's going on in the scenes that he's in my movie for, and that's comforting. And freeing too, once you know that, and maybe not just Peter Sellers either. I think there's a few more. There's a few more zombies in bringing up the rear of my ensemble.
I don't have to limit myself to one zombie. Thank you very much.
No, that's what else is a time machine for? Except, as I said before, for exploring famous moments of history. But that's not what I'm using it for. Something else. Another thing I can't believe we didn't mention in Revenge of the Pink Panther. I must have said 50 times that it was that the plot was lifted from You Only Live Twice.
Mm-hmm.
Burt Kwok's in that movie.
Where is he?
Burt Kwok's in You Only Live Twice.
Where is he?
He's one of the He's one of the scientists in the volcano. He's in the Donald Pleasance Blofeld scenes.
That's fucking great.
I can't believe I missed that.
Me neither.
I was comparing it on so many levels, but not the fact that they share cast members.
You should be ashamed.
I was. When I was in the middle, I can see myself now. I was boiling a kettle in my kitchen, and I realized, how could I have not mentioned that book? He's also because he's in Goldfinger too.
Boiling a kettle. You're so British.
To make coffee. That's the American part.
All right, good.
I definitely There's a lot of there's a subculture I think of Americanist Britons,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my favorite people in that ilk is the spoken word poet John Cooper Clarke, who said he lives by he's from roughly where I am in Britain, but he says he lives by the 3 S's: Sopranos, Simpsons, and Seinfeld. I was like,
sounds like he should be our best friend.
Too. That's my mantra too. He's the only man who's written a poem that contains both my references to both my hometown and Chief Wiggum in the same. No one has ever pulled that off before. No one ever will since.
Why would they?
It's never going to come up again, is it?
No, yeah.
It's about Oldham, the town I'm from. The poem is about that, and he happens to mention Chief Wiggum in the
Dig up, stupid.
Yeah, Coffin buys. So what about you? What was your process?
Well, you know what's funny is I don't remember if it was the ranking episode or a Revenge, but I was editing one of those episodes. Must have been Revenge. And at some point...
Can you edit the words Burt Kwok in there somewhere? Yeah. For future releases?
Get you. You know what's interesting? Burt Kwok. You only live twice. Just like isolate.
Hashtag Yelt.
Yeah. But I at some point in one of those episodes, I just boldly stated, I've already got an idea brewing. I know what I'm going to do. Don't remember what that was, but...
Yeah, I think I had one of those too.
I have no clue what that was.
Mm-hmm,
but
Hubris.
I went totally in the opposite direction and decided to not use my time machine for good.
Oh.
And instead, brace myself for the worst task possible.
Wow.
Which was to continue a story from the end of this nonsense.
Ooh.
And we've done this before when you start and you have such a vivid opening and then it starts to, and then you have bits and
Yeah.
pieces, you know.
Then you have to make a film. Yeah.
But it's like the rest of it is sort of framework.
Yeah.
Know where it's going, but
Mine very much. Mine
less-
very much
less
resembles that
vivid.
description.
Yeah.
You don't know what you just said.
But
It's a shot for shot opening in mind.
But for some reason, I feel just sort of sitting like wrapped up in a blanket, comfortable with what I have created here.
Oh, are we fooling ourselves because of how low the bar is, or are we
Probably, yeah.
Or are we genuine? Do we genuinely both have something? What are the chances that we both genuinely have something great?
Well,
What are the chances that one of us have genuinely something?
Well,
great?
the chances are low to start with
Yeah.
because we are who we are. But I also,
Hey, speak for yourself. I came up with Poltergeist. Even Matt Aldridge said that was good, and that's his job. He said, and I quote, "I can't believe I didn't think of that," and I took that as a compliment.
yes, for the rest of your life, it's going to be your shining example.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely going to be the high
of
point. You know,
why you're great at this.
that and finding out one of the writers of The Simpsons likes our show is pretty much the two high points of my life.
That's all I need.
Going forward, yeah.
And this chair. That's all I need.
This chair.
But I have done something willfully stupid
Yeah.
that almost guarantees that my movie cannot be good.
Oh, really?
So
Is it
there's that.
time-lapse photography in the first 20 minutes?
No.
Dutch angle in the first 20 minutes?
No.
Oh.
No.
I'm interested to find out what it could be then, because
Mm.
those are my two ways of knowing you're in a bad movie.
Yeah.
Oh, a narration? And is it a narration that appears at the beginning but not at the end?
But not at the end. No, it's not that either.
No, okay, well.
Considering
I'm all out of
I feel
ideas.
like you should know.
I'm out of tropes.
Speaking of Dutch angles, I was rewatching Crimson Tide the other night and was struck by Tony Scott's love of like close-up Dutch angles.
I get that it's hard to resist that when you're filming in a summer. Well, filming I don't think he was filming in a submarine, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Filming of a submarine.
Yeah.
It's got to be a temptation for every other shot, but you should resist that temptation as well.
I tried to remember other later movies like Spy Game and movies with sort of similar right-up close-ups on the actor, and was he tilting Dutchly in those movies? And it just felt like something only Tony Scott could get away with. But I don't know if it's only Crimson Tide or if it's his other movies too. Anyway.
Yeah, no idea.
Well, once again, the road less traveled. But back to the task at hand.
Sea less traveled.
Yeah. I don't know. I found myself in a place where I wanted to do something that was, I guess what I wanted to do was honor at least the back half of this series and make the wrong choice, because that's what the back half of this series continually does. So I embraced that.
I think both of us have embraced the spirit of the back half of the series, which is saying a lot of how much we overall despise them. I think that speaks well of us that we're willing to stoop to their level.
Yeah, right.
In our pitches, but yeah, I thought exactly the same. I thought there's a sort of he didn't die after all, and here's another Pink Panther movie version that we can absolutely do because of the lack of constraints we've given ourselves.
Sure.
But that's ironically not the most noble thing to do.
Yes,
in this
right.
scenario.
Yeah.
Except you're on with what we're doing, especially seems like what you're doing. It's on the precipice between noble and worthless.
Yeah,
like
right.
no other property I could think is like, yeah. I can't think of another film that has that in common.
What you're doing is wrong and stupid, but kudos.
Yeah, good job. Not going by the normal standards of filmmaking. Don't get distracted by those standards of filmmaking that are out there.
Yeah.
But I took the license to kind of, I knew I could do whatever joke I wanted to do, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it involved someone who was dead or ailing, that wasn't a problem there, because they're not dead or ailing.
Yeah, you got your time machine.
In my version of Paradise.
Right. What about your title? Did that come easy?
It didn't come easy, no. And then there was a point where I thought it wouldn't come at all, and then, like most of this pitch, it just sort of it immediately clicked into place. There was a pun that it was like I couldn't see the wood for the trees. There was like the title relied on a pun that I just couldn't get to, and suddenly it revealed itself, like simultaneous to thinking of the reason why the movie's called that.
Okay.
So it was the best possible scenario for a title.
All right.
Though at the same time, quite lame. Again, speaking to the spirit of these movies.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling, my friend.
Hard. Like I that was where I drew the line. It's like, if it feels like it's trying too hard, I'm going to stop doing it, because the people making these movies will not put in the extra mile.
Yeah.
That I'm putting in.
Agreed.
So I'm like, okay, I can back away from it and say it makes sense. That's my title.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy. What about are you happy with? I always dread asking this question. Are you happy with your title?
Yeah, I'm happy with my title.
Okay, because usually when you say that, there's a monstrosity of words follows. It's homunculus of language.
It's not my fault that people don't know words. They can look them up.
It's like the opposite of like a Hollywood studio mogul. If people don't like it, they can look it up.
I'm like the Jed Bartlett. There's some moment where he's running for president in like season 4, I think, where somebody says he can't use that word. People don't know what that word is. He's like, they can look it up. I'm the education president.
That's good.
Not everything has to conform to what you think, Mr. Stewart.
That's correct. Yeah.
But I guess what I like about my title is it's hooked into the back half of this series very much.
Yeah.
It's vague enough that it applies, because these movies are always changing. What is the Pink Panther? Is it the diamond? Is it the person? Is it the panther? Is it the jewel thief? And it can be all of it. Is it just
Middle Eastern politics? Is it
exactly.
Describing Middle Eastern politics?
And it can
that was
a
real
apply,
Pink Panther coup.
It can apply to all of those. And
you gotta have a flexible title, that's for sure.
And in addition, it has one other aspect that I like that I won't reveal now, because then you'll start guessing. But
tits. Time-lapse photography of tits.
Titties of the Pink Panther.
A narration that begins tits, 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 and we never hear that narration again. Or know what it was in reference to.
And it's a Blake Edwards film, so there's just tits shaking at you.
Just a Dutch angle tits would just be flopping down.
Dutch angle tits.
Just flopping down.
That's a great album title. Dutch Angle Tits.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, where's that leave us? Do you want to start?
Since you're confident, I'll let you go first. Because I'm always confident, but often wrong. So you're normally a bit more tentative. So if you don't have, if you don't need time to fill in the gaps, you should take the lead this time.
Do I need time to fill in the gaps? That's a good question. I guess not.
You won't learn anything from my pitch that you didn't already know about me or the movie.
All right. It's like the second you said, well, you go. You're confident. My first thought is, should I even be confident? I don't think I should be.
No, neither of us should.
Yeah.
But,
all right. I'm calling my movie Pursuit of the Pink Panther.
Oh. That's your best title yet.
No the alliteration, which is the thing I like.
We haven't had that before, have we?
Sort of. I mean, at least 2 words. Or 3 words, rather. But
that's new as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plus, what's great about that is I was aiming for something like that, but it's the only synonym for like a trail of detection that we haven't used yet.
Yeah, right.
So, good. Wow, excellent. I can see those big pink letters. With
yeah, me too.
On. That's how good it is.
I feel like I should stop now, but I'll go on.
You should, yeah. No notes. Instant green light, automatic green light.
Yeah, exactly.
You came in today, you sat down, you didn't shoot me.
Yeah. All right, get ready for a detailed description of the cold open of this movie, followed by vague descriptions of framework.
And not for the last time on this episode either.
All right. We open up on the Pink Panther diamond, and we pull out, and the camera turns around to show the hallway, and a guard passes from left to right.
Yeah.
And then from the left, we see a shadowy figure appear, or actually stumble into frame, and then start coming down the hallway towards the diamond. There are, this will drive you nuts because it'll remind you of Ocean's 13. But there's a laser field, the laser beams moving around.
I remember the laser beams.
And as this figure approaches the laser beams, he trips into them and then keeps bumbling and stumbling in a way in which his clumsiness gets him through the laser.
You put this in. I bet this doesn't pay off. You put this in just to spite me. Because you know how I feel. This is such a laser field is physically impossible.
Doesn't matter
for a person not to hit. For a person never to hit.
But that's the joke, because he keeps tripping and stumbling and bumbling, and that's the only thing that he was gonna do something else, but he ended up tripping into the laser field, and he's just getting lucky. It's not by design.
That's worse. Anyway, carry on. You've just replaced one kind of physical impossibility with another.
Yeah.
All right.
And I did do it to bother you.
Yeah, I know you did. This is the last time the Pink Panther diamond or the theft or laser fields are mentioned in the entire entire film.
He avoids all the laser beams, and he gets into the main chamber, and he takes off the, that kind of glass case that the diamond's always in.
The cloche. The diamond cloche.
And immediately a trap door opens up.
Yeah.
And he has to kind of clutch onto the podium that is holding the diamond, which shakes the diamond, and then he falls through the trap door, and we hear him say, "Swine trap door," and then the diamond falls in after him as well. He lands in a basement, lights turn on, the alarms go off, you see guards kind of like coming down, and they're clearly like heading towards him. And he pulls out a crowbar he lands on his feet, and then the diamond just falls into his hands. He kind of takes out a crowbar, and there's a manhole at the bottom, and he pries that open and jumps in, and just sort of, you see him jump in and fade to black, and then we go into the whole fade to black, and we have the cartoon sequence. That's your cold open.
Wow. Giving us nothing we've seen, giving us nothing we've not seen before, but in a way we've never seen it before.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You've already beaten every single one of these movies, hands down. And the movie hasn't even started yet. Do you have a description of the sequence, or is that where we get into the someone else's problem territory of comedy writing?
Wait, what now?
Do you have a concept for the title sequence, or is that where we get into
yeah, that's somebody else's fucking problem. Fuck that.
I love how you weren't even going to say anything. That's too rich for my blood.
No. Let a fucking cartoonist handle that shit.
More than my job's worth.
I mean, if you put me to the test right now, I would say you have the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go nuts in a second, but then you have 3 cartoon detectives all chasing each other around and fucking around.
Did they clone Clonzo?
Oh no, friend.
I'm using multiplicity.
I'm using existing IP and characters from 3 different movies. No, 2 different movies, I guess. Technically.
Wow. Okay, tell me more.
All right. So we open on...
Was it love at first sight?
We open on... not open, but we come back to our story.
We open again on...
Yeah. We reopen. And Dreyfus is still somehow managing to work for the police force, but he's not at the top echelon. He's still got kind of an uber boss.
Oh.
But the boss is saying, Pink Panther's been stolen again. We need to find it. And also, because at this point, we'll say that like David Niven and his whole gang are whatever. They're either dead or in jail or whatever. Like nobody from that crew can be involved. So it's, who is this Pink Panther?
They died in a fire.
Yes. Good enough. Now, well, can you guess who the Pink Panther thief is? I've already given you a clue.
Well, he sounds like Clouseau.
Yeah. But which Clouseau?
Alan Arkin Clouseau?
No, I'm bringing back Roger Moore Clouseau.
Roger Moore Clouseau. Okay.
So it's the actual Clouseau.
Should not have let you go
but
first.
with the face work done.
Oh,
and he's
God.
back as Clouseau.
What was that in my pocket? Some thunder? Oh, look, it's been stolen from me.
Oh, no!
It's okay. It was bound to happen. I don't know why I didn't fully anticipate. I mean...
Well, you're not going to be... You might be smart enough to do that, but you're not going to be dumb enough, I don't think, to do what I do with it. Which is...
I just flash forward to you minutes later, like Sean Connery in Last Crusade, going, "You didn't bring it. You didn't bring the data here.
Should have mailed it to the Marx Brothers."
Yeah, you weren't that stupid, were you? I rewatched that this weekend.
Did you?
Along with Temple of Doom.
Oh, look at you.
My son.
Oh, first time?
Movies for the first time, yeah.
How was that?
I have I can report on that. Do you want me to do it now, or do you want me to wait until your pitch is done?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Maybe I was forced.
I'm too excited not to know.
Well, Temple of Doom was obviously the movie I had most trepidation about showing him because
sure,
it's a full-on slasher movie.
There's some heavy shit.
it kind of all went over his head. This is a curious child. He won't watch Beetlejuice because every time I suggest watching Beetlejuice, he goes, "Oh, too scary."
But ripping a heart out of a man's chest, he's like nonplussed by.
Do you know what his comment was? The only comment he made about that entire sequence?
Not yet.
He went, 2 sacrifices in one day? Like, he was more concerned with the admin side of things at the Temple of Doom than...
He's in charge of the paperwork. It's like...
Honestly, and that is totally unprompted from me. Like, I was sitting there in silence looking at him going, like, waiting for, like, the trauma to kind of fall over his eyes.
Fall over his face.
Yeah, I'm flashing forward to 3 a.m. when he's like, he wakes up in a cold sweat going, "Where's my heart? Where's my heart?"
Instead, his trauma is like, can you imagine the paperwork? 2 sacrifices in a day?
Yeah, so he just kind of accepted it all at face value. You'll be happy to know, again, totally unprompted by me. As soon as Molaram appeared, he went, "That's the guy from Scooby-Doo." I kid you not. And I did not. So, I mean, that's better than a DNA test that he
with like the tiki mask ghost.
He just yeah. I think I was trying to pin it down. I mean,
that's amazing.
Whatever he meant, he's right.
Yeah, he is.
But I think he was thinking about maybe the mummy from the titles of the original Scooby-Doo, because that's the one we've watched the most.
Oh.
The one was like Scrappy. It's like a scarecrow. Anyway, he was like, he said, "That's the guy from Scooby-Doo." Yeah. So and then 2 sacrifices in one day, and he just had a lot of practical questions about that I couldn't answer, like why didn't they take Kate Capshaw's heart out? And I was like, I don't have an answer for you. I have no idea why.
That was always my question as a kid. I was like, what? So just spitting on him was enough to change his mind?
Yeah. Right, yeah. And Last Crusade as well, there's not really anything to that's kind of that's sort of difficult. We had a long conversation because I realized like he doesn't know what the Nazis are really. So we had a long conversation about that and like who Hitler was, and so it was,
wow,
and I'm gonna say now is a good time to find out about all of that.
Yeah, probably
might be a good time for a primer on the fascism and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. But I thought you'd enjoy the 2 sacrifices in one day.
That's amazing.
But he keeps asking me to. He keep. You'll love this too. That he was just like, after Last Crusade, he was so excited. He's like, put the other one on. I'm like, no, it's nearly bedtime. He's like, oh, we'll just start it. We'll just watch a few minutes of it. So I said, okay, we can watch 10 minutes of this. 5 minutes into Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he was like, so bedtime. So like half the time I'd given him before he needed to go brush his teeth, it was like, so bedtime. He's like, and I was like, don't you want to watch? He's like,
no, I'm done.
No, I'm okay. He's like, in his head, he's like, all I've seen so far is talking. So I saw a gopher and some talking. That's it.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
thank you.
Apologies for that digression. I didn't mean to.
No, that was good. All right, we reopen. We come back. Dreyfus is telling his adopted son,
"Oh,
we gotta find this fucking guy, and I'm gonna have you do it."
Oh, so this is post son.
Yeah, post son.
Okay.
But then the Uber boss above Dreyfus is saying, "Well, now listen, like, as far as we know, like, you both are too close to this case. What if it turns out to be the missing, presumed dead Clouseau that is still alive? So I gotta bring the last detective we had on the case, and that, sir, is one Sergeant Clifton Slay, Ted Wass."
Wow. You tear him away from his 3-child family, including one recovering drug addict.
Yeah,
and a kid
exactly.
that goes, "Hey."
And
Blossom, what did Blossom do? I remember her dancing around in the titles, but I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember anything about.
I
remember no specifics from that show.
Every day.
Oh, not me.
Because it was Randy Newman title music.
And that was enough to hook you in for years?
It's funny, if you go back and listen to it now, you can't not hear the Family Guy parody of Randy Newman. I'm just Randy Newman, singing what I'm seeing. She's gonna eat an apple.
Too good.
Yeah.
So what we've got is two kind of weirdo, clumsy detectives, both on the lookout for the Pink Panther, the elusive Pink Panther. But what I guess what I started imagining were scenes where, like, we go back to Dr. August Balls, but instead of one curtain, we add curtains. There's many curtains. So in walks Roger Moore. Yeah. In walks Roger Moore looking for some costume help, and there's like an initial fight, like I don't need your help and I don't need your help between Wass and Benini, and so when Roger Moore goes behind a curtain, in comes Ted Wass, like I need some help, like he goes behind a curtain, and then in comes Benini and he goes behind a curtain, and you have that sort of bowing, like lots of, that Frasier episode, lots of indoors, outdoors, except they're all curtains and they're just missing each other, but they're getting costumes, and in the center there's just Dr. August Balls kind of looking around, not knowing if he should tell everyone what the fuck's going on, that kind of thing.
And you could do a version of the Marx Brothers mirror sequence with 2 Clouseaus.
Yeah.
3 Clouseaus. 3-way mirror.
3.
Yeah.
We already had the Kato.
Yeah.
Like that fake mirror attack.
Well, we talked. You said that should be used. I wish that had been used in a Peter Sellers Clouseau movie.
Yeah, right. So we go from Dr. August Balls, and we start getting into a place. Like, I didn't know if I should bring back blow-up dolls for Ted Wass, because that seems to primarily
my feelings about the subjects. Don't try and bounce that off me.
Primarily be his mode of comedy. But then I also briefly, I can't remember her name. What was the blonde's name in Curse?
Let's just call her Leslie Ash. I mean, that's the actor, but... Okay.
I was thinking about bringing her back, and then...
Yeah, you really liked her.
I know, I did. But I liked the only reason I thought of bringing her back was because Ted Wass could be like, "Oh, you're back," and then Benini could be like, "Hey, who's this?"
And she does survive. I think it was an afterthought, but she does. It does seem like she died, and then there's a line about, "Oh, she's gonna recover. She'll be fine."
Mm-hmm. A competition,
kind of like Joe Pantoliano at the end of The Fugitive.
Right.
And he gets
gets that steel beam into the face.
He gets the death blow of the steel beam, and they add in that shot of him grappling around with an oxygen mask on a stretcher.
I want a vacation.
With no visible wound on his face somehow.
Yeah, he should have about 240 stitches all over his face.
It's one of the, by the way, one of the best endings to any movie.
Oh, it's
that
great.
Scene in the car with him and the I don't know if we'll ever get a chance to talk about it, but
someday we should just do it as a special episode, even though it's not a sequel, because
yeah. There's something about that movie. I'll just say as an overall reason why I like it is it's like someone made a documentary about the making of The Fugitive, and that's what I'm watching.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's why it works.
Yeah. I mean, they were really flying by the seat of their pants through that whole movie, the filming, actual filming of it, and writing every day and rewriting every day, and for whatever reason,
that
it
police
worked.
interrogation scene, you can tell Harrison Ford doesn't have lines written for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the whole entire reason why that scene is so effective. He sounds like he's reacting to every question for the first time, like he's never heard it.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you he has not heard it before they rolled the camera.
So you're not going to be hurting too bad from this financially.
He's like, why are the two police officers from above the law asking me questions?
Help me.
I'm not Steven Seagal, okay?
I'm not the ultra victim here, but I am a victim.
He had a mechanical arm. It's the best.
So good.
Try to remember the word arm.
It is panic. So what I want to set up is this sort of thing where as Ted Wass gets closer, Benigni is starting to undermine him, because the more they find out, the more they think that it's really his dad. And so he wants to keep kind of helping him.
Wass?
No, Benigni.
Oh, figuring out that his dad is the guy who stole the diamond. I thought you were saying that there's a period where you think Clifton Slay might be Benigni's
father. Might be the thief? No.
No, it might be the father of Benigni. Or the thief.
Jesus Christ.
You could probably have parts of the movie where that is at least a possibility.
Oh, man. That's a real Dallas, this whole was a dream. Or Roseanne, all a dream. Just wake up in the shower.
I was just sitting writing in my basement about my husband's death.
What we're eventually going to come to is Benigni confronting Roger Moore, and Roger Moore saying, not only am I the elusive Pink Panther, but I can teach you too. And so he helps him escape from Ted Wass and solves the case, but now this leaves Dreyfus in a place where he's got to catch both Clouseau and his adopted son, and gives him the eye twitch. And that's Pursuit of the Pink Panther.
It's taking the series down avenues, or what's the French for avenue? Avenue?
Probably
not.
You stole the joke before
Docus Malocus.
I could get to the joke.
Yeah, you've taken it down avenues that I couldn't have anticipated, and that's really making some lemonade out of a very small bowl of lemons.
Trying so hard. Who else would bring Ted Wass back? Nobody.
Out of spite more than anything else, I think.
Yeah.
It's like what is it? We talked about that with the prequels, didn't we? It's sort of like George Lucas just wouldn't accept that the whole politics side of things, the whole sort of Senate at the C-SPAN kind of coverage of the Senate,
right,
is weighing the films down. He just couldn't. He just got in deeper and deeper with every movie. He just would not be told that this was languorous and boring and irrelevant. Yeah. No, that's great. I love it. From the title, top to bottom, from the title to the outcome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was as good as you sold it.
All right.
To be. Don't expect the same here. I feel like a snake oil salesman in comparison. You're like Henry Ford, and I'm the guy selling brain tonic by the side of the road.
I present to you Pepsi Cola of the Pink Panther.
I know how much we exhausted the Pepsi Charlton Heston joke when we talked about Beneath the Planet of the Apes, but I thought of yet another variation of that, like a sketch in which someone is in a restaurant and the waiter comes over and says and they take their order and they say, "And I'll have a Coke," and it's like, "Oh, we've only no." Instead of saying, "I'll have a Coke," I've blown it already. Because he says, "I'll have Charlton Heston," and he's like, "Oh," he said, "We have James Franciscus. Is that okay?" And he's going, "I guess."
It's like a joke only you and I would get.
I know, it's like a podcast specific joke.
Yeah.
Like you could sub in so many different names that
Right.
occur here. So, yeah,
I'll
as I
take
said,
the Godfather 1, please. Oh, we only have the Godfather 3. Ugh.
I'll have Robert Duvall. We
Yeah.
have George. We have George Hamilton.
Right.
I'd probably leave the. I probably would leave the restaurant at that point. I would be like, there's got to be somewhere across the street that's.
Yeah, I gotta be able to get my
something
a
that
bowl
tastes
of
like
Robert Duvall somewhere.
I am, after all, in the Duval district. The district.
Duvall are us.
Anyway, yeah. So as I said, both leaning heavily on the time travel license to generate this pitch.
All right.
But also, you thought about it very much in terms of continuing on from Sun.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought of it more as a bridge between Curse and Sun.
Oh, okay.
Because if you look at the storytelling in this back half, you've got sort of two self-contained movies and a couplet in the middle.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's much you can do to make to sort of link revenge and trail it. They already feel like they follow on from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a big, both historical and storytelling gap in between Curse and Sun. And I thought, well, this is where I can, stake my pitch, essentially.
Yeah. So
the title of my pitch is A Shot in the Back.
I love it.
This was the pun I was grappling for.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted it to be a shot in the.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to make a pun that fit what actually happened, like what kind of a shot in the it is.
Yes. I have one note.
Oh no.
By making this your title, you are welcoming direct comparison to the best sequel
I know.
in the series and maybe one of the best ever made.
I know. But I already did that with my previous pitch.
Okay.
For this series, which, as I'm sure we've all forgotten, was called, including myself, was called Another Shot in the Dark.
Yeah.
So this is both a kind of, this is the part 3 of a mini trilogy which begins with Trail and Curse, but it's also the third in a conceptual trilogy, which is the Shot trilogy.
All right.
Which is about, shots ringing out in the dark or the back or somewhere. Buy my movie. So it's called and I I'm gonna go into a cold open.
You could call it A Shot in the Ass and make it a medical drama.
That's true. Or it could be like about a donkey. Sad donkey. A donkey gets murdered and Clouseau has to come and investigate.
Has to solve the case.
Yes. Think of the number of ass jokes you'd make in that movie. My God.
There's a Pink Panther diamond stuffed up this ass's ass.
So, Shot in the Back, not only do we go full Pink Panther cold open, we also go full James Bond cold open.
Mm-hmm.
because I thought they never, one of the few tropes of Bond movies they never capitalize on is the kind of pre-title sequence of the Bond films. And I've got a reason why that is an appropriate reference, because like you, the movie is going to begin much as Goldfinger does with a bird balanced on the water that is then revealed to be the disguised top of a helmet of an underwater sea diver.
Oh, okay.
Except it's a pigeon, not a... I think it's a seagull in Goldfinger, but it's going to be a pigeon here. You just think it's a pigeon.
Pigeon on the head. You need a sword in the drum.
Right, so the pigeon, exactly, to complete the joke. So you think it's just a pigeon hanging out in the water, and it's revealed. But of course it's not Peter Sellers Clouseau, it's Roger Moore Clouseau.
All right.
He goes back under the water and swims down to the boat where
I'm surprised you're starting in the water with swimming. That seems very much against your own rules.
Well, again, it's not it's not my standards of filmmaking. It's the standards of filmmaking established by the back half of this series that we're working with.
Fine.
But also Goldfinger. So he goes back into the water, and he has he's carrying like a backpack full of everything he needs for his mission, and he goes and he takes a large live fish out of his backpack and hooks it onto the end of a fishing pole in the water, and then he goes up to the fishing is going on over a boat, and so
I know how fishing works,
but it's at sea on a boat.
Okay.
And immediately the alarm goes off to say that there's something on the end of the hook. And then we cut to inside the boat, where it's David Niven's Charles Litton in bed with Simone, about to make love, and then he hears the alarm of that going beep 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 like that, and just as he's about to move in his inimitable David Niven way. The voice of his nephew saying, "We got a big one!" And he hears the beep, and he rushes out to go and see what kind of behemoth fish he's going to catch. And he and George are grappling over the pole and who does what and who's winding and etc. As you would imagine they would. But Roger Moore Clouseau is going to use this as an opportunity to insert himself in the bedroom, and he removes his wetsuit, and he's naked underneath. So he immediately strips off. He goes in the room, puts on a fake mustache to make himself look like David Niven, and slides into bed with Simone. Starts making love to her, and the lights go out, and you hear a kind of scramble beneath the sheets, and then suddenly Simone goes, "Jacques!" So immediately knows it's him from his lovemaking technique. And at the moment at which it's rumbled that it's not it's not Charles, he has a vacuum cleaner nozzle up his sleeve, and he immediately sucks the Pink Panther diamond, which is around Simone's neck, into the nozzle, sucks it in, and then
you're really keeping up with the Blake Edwards side of sexual politics.
Well, it gets worse because he's not actually naked. He's wearing a skin-colored bodysuit. So he gets out into the he removes the skin-colored bodysuit, and he's got another like Bond-like black outfit beneath it. Puts back on his backpack, which what happens is he presses a button and his skin suit inflates into a parachute. And he paraglides away. Sorry, parascends away. As we found out that's what it was called, was he? He parascends away with the Pink Panther diamond secure in his vacuum nozzle, and lands on a nearby cliffside where he stops to and he tries to take the Pink Panther diamond out of the vacuum cleaner nozzle, but he accidentally turns it on, so it sucks his face into the nozzle, and it goes all the way in, and when he pulls it out, he's Peter Sellers Clouseau again. It's undone all the plastic surgery, so now he's Peter Sellers. So as the audience, you're thinking, well, here we had another Roger Moore Clouseau cameo. Now we've got Sellers back, right?
Excellent.
And you know what a big fan I am of making people disappointed.
Do I?
So it's at this point that the title comes into play, because an unseen assailant appears behind him at the cliff and shoots Peter Sellers Clouseau in the back.
Oh, no.
And he falls to the ground. And so we see it's like a black gloved hand with the gun. And then a different colored gloved hand, after he's dropped the diamond, comes and picks that up. So it's two different people. One of them stole the diamond and one of them shot him in the back. So there's two mysteries to be solved. Who stole the Pink Panther diamond and who shot Clouseau in the back? And I'm just realizing that I may have only solved one of those mysteries. So we'll see how it goes. Just remembering I was supposed to solve the mystery of the diamond as well, and I think I've only done the killing. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens as I keep talking.
You might solve that as you go.
I might solve it as we go. So anyway, title sequence, which I actually have thought about, but only because another opportunity that they've never taken up is doing a pastiche, a Pink Panther pastiche of a James Bond title sequence, which again seems like the Bond
seems
cold
like something
open,
they should have done for sure. Great idea.
The Bond cold open and the Bond title sequence are the two. Is the untapped potential of Bond pastiche in the Pink Panther film. So
and it's such a great idea with
like.
the Pink Panther.
Yeah,
rolling around with like ladies and shadows and fucking shooting and
and you can have a sort of like you could play it either way. You could have the Pink Panther theme in the style of the Bond theme, or you could have the Bond theme in the style of the Pink Panther theme. You could play it or do both and switch in the middle.
Yeah.
You could have the Pink Panther theme played like the Bond theme, or vice versa. Or both. Do what you want. Someone else's problem. And we reopen at the reading of the last will and testament of Inspector Jacques Clouseau in Paris. All the familiar faces are there.
Mm-hmm.
So
who falls into a grave?
Well, no, we're at the lawyer's office. So
okay.
What happens is we do begin at the graveside, and the priest who is there doing the service looks at the funeral order and is like, Clouseau, I buried this man at least 3 times. He's like, and he screws it up. Like, I refuse to do this again. This is unsanctified burying a man so many times. Because by this point, he's had like 3 or 4 funerals already. No. So we go to the reading of the last will and testament. All the familiar faces are there. We catch up with them all as they come in. We'll form pairs out of the ones that aren't pairs. But the most obvious pair is Herbert Lom and Francois. Are coming in, and we have a moment with them outside, and Dreyfus reveals, he sort of said, be interested to see what Clouseau left me in his will, and Francois was like, but you hated him, you tried to kill him on a number of occasions. In fact, there was that time that you ran one of the biggest criminal organizations in the world, and at that point,
wink to the camera.
No, Dreyfus starts to hypnotize him. He says, you do not remember any of this, and puts a memory spell. And so it's implied that everyone who knew about this has been put inside a hypnotic memory spell by Dreyfus, who it turns out is an evil hypnotist.
I like that.
A la Blofeld in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
All right, take it easy.
I won't, I tell you. This is my only chance to do a Bond film. Disguised as a Pink Panther film. Anyway, they get into the Last Will and Testament, and because this movie takes place in, let's say, the mid-'80s,
Mm-hmm.
It's another time machine byproduct. Because it's taking place after Curse, which is 83, so it's the mid-'80s. So, what would be like the most technologically advanced way of doing a will and testament in the mid-'80s? Video will. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, what Clouseau has done is he's put together an elaborate multi-cassette video will and testament. And so, again, this is how we get Peter Sellers in the movie. It's him doing his will videos, but his will videos aren't just what he's giving in his estate. They're actually, it's an 8-part instructional video on how to solve the mystery of who killed him.
Love it.
And he's specifically given it to Kato, because he says Kato, you're the one who's going to solve the mystery of who.
I forgot about my Kato bit. Anyway.
Oh, go on, tell me your Kato bit.
No, well, it's just an argument between Son Bonini and Ted Wass about who has more of a right to be attacked by Kato as the lead detective. Yeah.
That's excellent. You could also have, like, each of them has a different manservant from a different ethnicity.
Yeah. I could make it worse.
Yes.
Politically worse. Great idea, but politically worse.
Yeah. So Kato's given this he's given this 8-part instructional video, and of course, insert joke here for like Peter Sellers let loose on an instructional video about how to be a detective.
Mm-hmm.
Make your own jokes here about how good that would be. Just let him loose on that, and
that's great.
So the rest of the movie is going to be divided in. It's going to be like each section of the movie is a different part of the investigation, which is introduced by Clouseau through video. And Kato's going to go out and try and find gather the usual suspects and try and solve the mystery. And this is again where it gets kind of where it's someone else's problem, because we're just going to go round the houses of who could have killed him. And so a couple of possibilities they identified is that one of the suspects at one point is actually the real Roger Moore, who killed him for infringement of his copyrighted image.
I like that.
Going around pretending to be him, so we get Roger Moore back. At one point I thought that something we'd never exploited before is the idea that Francois might harbor a grudge against Clouseau for keeping him tied to a series of idiots in his profession. And you can have an
always putting him in the position of having to put out a flood or a fire.
Yeah, exactly. And so we can have a condensed version of Trail of the Pink Panther, where we can have a montage of everything that's befallen Francois as a result of Clouseau. Just like split-second montage of all the times of it happening. But what ends up happening, and this is where we get into the bridge element of the movie, is that it's going to turn out that the person who shot Clouseau, and again, I still can't think of who would have stolen the diamond. I'm starting to think that maybe... Oh, I forgot my pigeon joke.
Okay.
So I did write a joke, going all the way back to the cold open now, because I forgot my pigeon joke. So what happens is when he, at the very beginning of the movie, when he climbs up on the boat and takes off his wetsuit to reveal his naked body, and he takes off his pigeon hat and he puts it on a shelf, and then and bearing in mind this is a fake pigeon, and then as he's turning to move out of shot, it shits on his head. And he looks around like, how is this? It's more of an airplane style joke, I'll grant you. It's not traditional Pink Panther territory, but I like the surrealism of where did the shit come from if it's not a real pigeon. Anyway, so maybe I know what it is, bringing it all the way back to magpies. Even though it looked like a hand, it was actually the beak of a magpie who took the diamond.
Oh.
I love that because so at the end we find out it's just a magpie. It's just in a magpie's
Just
nest
flying
somewhere.
away.
Because that makes it a total MacGuffin, and it's a tribute to one of my favorite Tintin graphic novels called The Castafori Emerald, and they spend the entire movie trying to solve the mystery of who stole an opera singer's diamond, and it turns out just to be a magpie who put it in their nest.
Excellent.
So that's who did the diamond. But what it's going to turn out to be is a this is where it gets really good. I just remembered that I came up with this, and this is really good. And it also
if
means
you say
more
so yourself.
And it also means more Peter Sellers in the movie. I just remembered why I put it in. It turns out that Cato finds out about Clouseau's affair with Claudia Cardinali, where little Jacques Jr. was begot. In that, and it turns out she had another lover who was a jealous lover, and for years he thought that this was his son. And so she revealed to him that Jack was the father, and he went and shot him in the back. And the jealous lover of Claudia Cardinali is the Fox, who's Peter Sellers' master criminal character from the movie After the Fox, who's an Italian, like an Italian cat burglar. So he will also be played by Peter Sellers.
Love it.
Playing his role in the Fox. And also the Fox is like the concept of the movie is, which is a great comedy movie if you've never seen it, is that he has a series of disguises as well. So you're going to get a lot of disguises in this movie, but it's not going to be Clouseau. It's going to be Peter Sellers as the Fox doing disguises instead.
Oh, good.
And then the kind of final kind of comic button is that kind of Cato realizes as he's investigating the mystery that he's only been able to solve the mystery because he ignored every single instruction that Clouseau gave him in the videos. And then we get to, I can't remember why I put it in 9 parts, but there's like after the 8th he finds that there's a 9th video that he hadn't seen, and he puts that in, and Clouseau comes on screen and says, Cato, I know that you will have solved the mystery because I know you will have ignored every single instruction in the previous 8 parts of this video. So I said these were all fake clues designed to make you do the opposite. Because I knew you'd ignore everything I said, so I said exactly the opposite. So Clouseau has the last laugh because he knew that Clouseau...
He really is a genius.
Yeah, he really is a genius, and also one thing we know about Clouseau is that he's been trained and instructed. One thing we know about Cato, he's been trained and instructed by Clouseau to always take him by surprise and never to back down when he asks him to. So that's the end of the movie.
Love it.
And it also ends with, Cato finds out about what's happened. They put the Fox in prison once again, this time for murder instead of robbery. I won't spoil it for you, but you could even replay the final joke of that movie as well in the prison scene. And Cato and we need to find a backdoor for why Cato doesn't seem to know about Little Jacques in the next movie, and it's because he made a promise to his mother to never say anything until Jacques comes back and finds him, to stay out of his life, to keep him safe until he knows he's a Clouseau.
Oh, I like it.
That is a shot in the back.
Yeah, there was no need for you to be worried.
No, as I was talking,
we've got a couple of respectable sequels out of this mess.
And all it requires is a lot of dead people to perform them that are otherwise occupied in that they are dead.
Or talentless people.
Sure. What? Yeah. Did we find out Ted Wass was still alive? Did we confirm that?
Yeah, we did.
We did confirm he is still alive.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, he directs now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think I remember seeing that.
directed Rules of Engagement, the
Is that
magical world of...
Is Rules of Engagement
That's
Pierce Brosnan?
it's a sitcom
Oh.
with David Spade, and I think
Oh.
Patrick... I was going to say Patrick Bateman, but no. From Seinfeld. Putty from Seinfeld. Patrick,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Warburton or...
Warburton, yeah.
Warburton.
Yeah, not Bateman. That's a fictional psychopath.
Rules of Attraction? Is that something I'm thinking of?
I think Rules of Engagement is a military-based film.
That's not what
Also.
I'm thinking of. It is a movie, but not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of a movie. Isn't there a movie with Pierce Brosnan and Julianne Moore? Or am I just making that up wholesale?
I mean, there rings a bell, but I don't know if it rings a bell just because of the times they make movies in.
Right.
Rather than them actually being in a movie together. It's definitely a combination that will have been considered at some point.
Oh, Laws of Attraction.
With those two?
Yeah, romantic comedy directed by Peter Howitt.
I thought that was a...
I knew there was something.
Isn't that... Is James Van Der Beek in that, or is that a...
No, that's something else.
What's that
That
movie?
was something else with a bunch of teenagers.
The Laws of Desire? No, that's Pedro Almodovar.
Yeah. Parker Posey's in this. Michael Sheen. Francis Fisher. Nora Dunn.
Yes, she is. The Rules of The Rules of Attraction! Yeah!
Yeah, Rules of Attraction
your-
is the James Van Der Beek.
What was,
Laws of
what was
Attraction.
your one called?
Laws of
What's your
Attraction.
attraction? Laws of Attraction, okay. Rules of Attraction is what I was thinking of. It's a series. There's the Laws of Attraction, the Rules of Attraction,
There's too many attractions.
the Legacy of Attraction, the Revenge of Attraction.
The Reaction to Attraction.
And the Final Attraction, which is the fourth in the series.
Yes.
There's 8 more after that.
There's 8 more. Oh, we're going to have to go back to that series. They're bringing that one back, I believe.
Final Destination?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Final Destination and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And one of them is a TV. One of them is a reboot. One of them is a sequel. I can't remember which.
I think the TV is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I think it's movies. But I think one is a reboot. I think they're both movies, but I mean, who knows anymore? There was supposed to be a Friday the 13th TV series and a Halloween TV series, neither of which are happening.
There is an Alien, Alien Earth. They're doing that as a TV series.
Noah Hawley gets to vampirically consume another film franchise, another. At least he's got a franchise to pull from it this time, so he doesn't have to keep doing the same story of Fargo again and again and again and again.
Well, that's the Attraction roundup in 2 pitches.
Can't wait to do that series.
Anything left for you?
Around the time we did Amityville. No, I'm spent. I think I put everything into that pitch more than usual.
I cared way more than I should have, and I want extra credit.
Yeah. I realize this this is the closest I'm going to get to pitching a Bond movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Roger Moore
Yeah.
playing multiple roles. It's got Peter Sellers playing multiple roles. It's kind of really got everything I'm looking for in the movie.
That's all I want. This is all it's been heading towards was this.
David Niven's in my movie.
This
Robert
is my
Wagner's
opus.
in my movie. I mean, this is one of the all-time great casts. Herbert Lom.
What more
No
can you
Ted
ask for?
Was.
I ignored that rule.
Yeah. No, I mean you're a better man than I for trying to make it work. And I mean,
I embraced that lunacy.
if you watch stuff that George Lazenby did 20 years after On Her Majesty's Service, he learned
I
how to
did
act
not.
over time. Yeah, he was in an episode of House, and you wouldn't know he was not an actor. just around the time he was playing one of the most famous characters in movies.
There you go. Your favorite, I might add.
Not my favorite film, not my favorite Bond. But
You have said
Bond
that that's your
nonetheless.
favorite Bond movie.
Bond movie, but not my favorite Bond actor.
Yeah, okay.
He's a little bit green, to say the least. He's no Tim Dalton.
No.
But he was in an episode of House. He played one of the Doctor's dads, and I was watching it going, oh, you wouldn't know he was once not an actor. You wouldn't know he learned how to act while he was working as an actor.
While he was mucking about all these years.
Yeah.
All right.
So maybe you look at whatever Ted Wass did in 1999 and think the same.
Maybe.
Blossom was over by then, so
Probably not. Maybe.
Blossom was done by 99. It can't have gone on to 99.
I don't know.
That was an easy way to find out, but
You're the avid watcher.
it was that time where whatever the TV station you were watching wanted to show you, you had to watch, right? There's not like you don't get a say in it like you do now.
No,
Unless you had videos and you couldn't have too many of those without going bankrupt. So
I mean, yeah, there's different phases for me. The syndication. Early on it was MASH and Three's Company and those kinds of movies or TV shows, and then you get into the wings, section of
this,
highly viewable.
You know what? Blossom was on, and it was Blossom, Different World, but mainly, I mean, the anchor was the Cosby Show, which, is
in retrospect, we shouldn't have all been watching.
But we should have done, because it still taught great lessons.
No, yeah, I know. It's still a quality show.
Responsible.
Yeah.
It was socially responsible television, just not
made by a monster.
Made by an irresponsible man. I don't want to piss him off. He's not in prison anymore.
True.
Probably our next president. That'd be great.
Like to introduce you to my new VP.
If Trump ever does stand up, and he won't, he should come out and say, "Yeah," he said, as president, I was just trying to lower the bar for Bill Cosby.
I could do whatever I want.
Yeah,
I could make Bill Cosby my new VP.
Having said that, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bill Cosby doing a comeback tour that begins and ends at the Kennedy Center, given the news of recent weeks.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to be headlining the Kennedy Center post Trump installing himself as the chairman?
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that all just so he could be doing it himself? He's going to always
every
do
night?
It? Yeah.
What is he, Jay Leno?
It's not like he wants to be president.
Have you seen this? Everyone's talking about this.
He's have to present awards to people he hates.
You imagine that? Well, I was going to say, you know what? This world, there's nothing you can fictionalize anymore, because he was like a host of SNL, wasn't he, Trump? Multiple times. So I was like, can you imagine him doing a monologue? Yeah, I can. All you have to
Sadly,
do is
I have
go on
to
YouTube
watch
and
the tape.
You'll see it. Because Lorne Michaels is apolitical, of course.
Mm-hmm. Famously.
He's as responsible as most people are for the way things are now.
All right, settle down.
Him and Jimmy Fallon letting him on, giving him primetime play.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he was first running. It's like, hey, and Hitler's gonna come out and talk about the new edition of Mein Kampf that's hitting the bookshelves.
It's my new book, Mein Kampf 2. It's better than the first one.
The Revenge of Kampf.
All right, we don't have any more
I don't know
time
what a
for
camp
political
is.
roundup. All right, we pitched 2 long pitches.
Yeah, we blew it all at our attraction roundup.
Yeah, come on. All right. Well, if you want to talk about what's in your local news stories or comment on either of these pitches or give us your own pitch, then by all means, find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, do that thing with that thing or not this thing with the other thing, fuck that thing, but go ahead and send an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. Blue Sky. Blue Ski?
Yeah.
One or the other. That's it. When you hear us next, we'll be doing something new. I don't know what it is yet.
Oh, we're going to talk about that afterwards, I think.
Yeah. So.
Not to you. To each other.
Off air. You haven't earned it. Well, we'll have an off week, and you.
Oh my God, they've earned it. Don't say that's not fair. They've earned at the very least that.
But well, on our off week, you can listen to a ranking of some kind of posters. We'll keep you in tune for that too.
Yeah.
All right. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here of the How Dare You Awards. We'll be back soon enough. Say goodbye to everybody, Tom.
That felt good.
I thought you said you weren't going for any of his quotes.
You know what? It's such a good catchphrase in that it is a line of dialogue that is identifiably singular that came out of his mouth that I had no choice but to go there.
All right. Very good then. So long, everybody. On that great line finish, we say goodbye.
It did feel good. Did you know that the Everything Sequel podcast has a sequel? It's our Patreon, and for a low monthly donation, you can get up to 2 exclusive, full-length, ad-free bonus episodes. $5 a month gets you an episode discussing all the original movies from the series we've covered on the podcast. And that's a lot of snakeheads. But $10 a